And I'm going to change this to speaker view. Can you guys see me on the big screen?
Yes.
Okay, wonderful. Well, thank you for joining us. This is the second call in a weekly Zoom call training series. Tonight, I wanted to just quickly go through an Excel spreadsheet that was actually the idea, and most of this spreadsheet was shared by Nicole Helmstetler, which I hugely appreciate. For me, a lot of things is, there's so many resources out there and we're all sharing them, but unless I get in and look at it and feel it, it really doesn't make a whole lot of sense, which is why I started these calls. So I had been struggling for a long time in terms of tracking who I had talked to, tracking where I was with my customers. The tasks on our former virtual office didn't really make sense to me, and I was just spending a lot of time doing some backup work. So I had tried an Excel spreadsheet on my own, trying to create it from scratch, and it just didn't make sense. And so finally I got in and looked at Nicole's spreadsheet, made a couple tweaks to my way of thinking, and this is something that's been very effective to me. So I wanted to share that tonight as a possibility for, something that you can use in your business. So I'm going to go ahead right now and share my screen so you can see what I've done. Can you guys see the Excel spreadsheet? Okay. I went ahead and hid all of my customers since we're recording this, and I'm going to put it up on YouTube. I didn't want any private information out there, so I went ahead and hid all of my information. But this has, I put their name, and their status would be either P for prospect, C for customer, D for distributor, or I do also have some people that are taking care of what we call the friends and family plan, which basically I'm helping track their orders, but they're kind of getting the retail sales profit there. Phone, email, just for an easy connection. Communication would be their preferred communication status, or how I've been communicating it. So I'll either put FB for Facebook, TXT for text, phone, you can make your own abbreviations. Their interest would be what they're interested in. So I'll put either JP for Juice Plus, Complete, T30, VF, put the interest in there. So for my customers, I'll actually put in their order date, and when they order, I'll go ahead and calculate these dates. So 10 days out from their order date, 30, 60, 90, and 100, and then when they would get their second shipment and their third shipment. So I'll go ahead and populate these when they go ahead and order. So that is going to help me fill in the next follow-up scheduled. So I'll go ahead and put in what the date is of the next follow-up. For those who are not very familiar with Excel, you can always hover over a cell and right-click, and you'll get this box, and you can insert a comment. That is what I absolutely love about Excel. So for my customers or prospects that I get at a vendor booth, or where I meet them, I'll insert a comment right by their name and say, met at, whatever vendor booth. And so I can kind of keep notes about them as a person there. Once you leave that, you've got this little red highlight there, and that's going to tell you, once you hover over it, it'll pull that note up. You can always edit it by right-clicking and edit, or delete it if it no longer applies. So with the follow-up scheduled, I'll often add notes like, follow-up, ask about this, different things like that. We've got this great customer care program, which I alluded to earlier, how we used to get, tasks. I'm going to switch over. I don't think I can. I'm going to stop share and reshare here, so bear with me. So if you look at our starter guide, it'll just kind of go through our 90-day customer care plan. And you get these emails at day 10, day 30 with actually what to say. on the calls to follow up. So essentially for the 10-day follow-up call, you want to make sure that they've received an email from the company, that they've received their product, and they've been able to start it okay. Day 30, you're going to want to make contact and make sure that they're creating a habit and they're able to take it consistently. Nicole actually added in a day 60 on this spreadsheet. I like that as well. It's another point to check in with them and just make sure everything's going okay. Do you have any questions? Day 90 is following up with a 90-day survey. So in a lot of cases with customers, you know, some of our customers have these huge health results that they really identify. Others are like, yeah, I don't really notice anything different. Well, this 90-day survey will go through, are you sleeping better? Are you more regular? Do you notice an improvement in your hair growth, your nails? Different things that are just more subtle that unless you ask them the questions, they really don't realize. So the purpose of that 90-day survey is very, very important because that brings out these subtle differences that are changing a month before they're going to run out of their 4-month supply. So that at 100 days, I'm going to switch back here. We're going to go back to the spreadsheet. You're just going to make sure, you know, they've followed up. We've got that 30 or the 90-day survey back, and do they have any questions? And then that second box, you're going to put that, you know, hopefully they're going to reorder at that point. So that's kind of this next follow-up schedule. I also use this box, not just for customers, but prospects. So if I invite them to an event, this is the next section here. You can see I unhid everything. So let's go over that. If you want to hide some columns, so I don't always want to see, you know, all of this order date and all of these dates if I'm working with my prospect list. So I'm going to go ahead and highlight those columns and do a right click and I can hide. And that's going to just kind of collapse them down in there so I don't see them anymore. This is from January. I've got a whole bunch of results there from February. So let's just go to March. Obviously, I'm behind. I don't have anything in April that I'm inviting to, but I'll hide those. So now I'm looking at the events that I invited to for March. So in these events, as I would go through, I would either put, as I'm thinking through things, I would put an I for I want to invite them, you know, certain people for different events. We all have a bunch of different events that we're dealing with. And then when I actually invite people, what I'll do is I'll put in the date. So let's say, you know, back in March, on March 22nd, I invited them versus, you know, with a text. I sent them the flyer. So I'll put that in there. And then when I hear back from them, I will go back and either say yes, no, maybe, and then I can also, again, put in a comment for what they said, you know, or, you know, if they said no, working. So I've got this running list of what they've said, what I've invited them to over time. So that's the main benefit of that. We also, there's the section for your virtual office. So for your people that become reps, the people that become family and friendly, family and friend plan people, you can put in their information, that they set up the direct deposit, the website, you've gone over how to place orders, and you've at least got them the idea of the HLP. I changed this for, you know, my team is Team Abundance. So I've invited them to that group. I can put an X there, you know, different things like that. So I haven't used this part as much. This follow-up piece has been huge for me because what you can do is you can highlight the section and sort by doing a custom sort. So you can sort by, let's say I want to sort by my type first. So I want to sort by, I want to put all my customers in a group first, and then I want to put my prospects. So I would sort by status. So column B first, and then I will add a level, and then I maybe want to sort by name and get them alphabetical. Or maybe I want to sort by next follow-up scheduled. So then I would sort by column P. Oops. So if I actually had names in here, it would sort these by group first of all of my customers, and then it would sort by when I need to follow up with next and put them, the closest people up top. And that's a very useful tool as well. So I'm gonna, at this point, I just feel like a fire hose and shared a whole heck of a bunch of information. So let's open it up for questions. Anybody have any?
Yes. Any chance that you can hide like the names and the contact information and show us some of your contacts as an example? Do you know what I mean?
Yes. Yes, yes, yes. So what I'll do is I will hide these. That's a great idea. I should have done that from the beginning. Maybe.
Do you already have the other ones hidden? Is that why?
Yeah. Oops. All right, so I hid the actual information. So let's go ahead. I'm going to hide Finn here just in case. And what I'll do to unhide, you always just highlight the gap and unhide. There we go. All right. So, and you can tell I have not been keeping up on this very well because I have a lot of dates in March still, so I need to get back to the spreadsheet. But, all right. So here's my customer list. When they've ordered, and then if I've done that 10-day connection call, I'll just put a check mark in there. So this one, the next connection call would have been, actually, this is one of my customers from a different country, so we're using a different app, which was taking a while. I need to update the spreadsheet. But I'll put in that, you can see here the next, hold on, yeah, there we go. The 90-day contact was 4/19, so that's my next follow-up scheduled. Now, if I've gone ahead and invited them to an event in April, say Dr. Williams, I might change that follow-up scheduled to, hey, I invited them, maybe I want to follow up with them a couple days before Dr. Williams. I would put that date in there and put a comment in. But here's some of my comments. This customer, let's see, I've got just a running commentary of, follow-ups. So that makes sense. And then you can kind of see the progression. So this was back in January up here. These are all of the events that I was inviting to in January and what the answers were, what I invited to. You can kind of see the bigger events I invited many, many people to. Some of the comments, why they said no, like that. So that at any certain point in time, I can kind of look over a history of how many events I've been inviting them to, what their responses are, and that just kind of is a great way to kind of keep track of that. But again, I don't always want to look at that, so I can hide previous months on an ongoing basis by highlighting, right-click, and hide. So.
Very cool.
Does that help looking at some of those?
Definitely.
Yeah. And so here's some of the, prospects, I have the comments by their names, which I want to keep hidden, but yeah. So if I do a vendor booth, I'll just go through and put in that comment for every person there on where I met them. So I can go back and always have that information handy. So. Any other questions come to mind?
I really like it because one of the problems that I've had with some of the people that I've contacted in the past is, trusting my memory to what our conversation was, what I invited them to last. So, this is helpful tool to be able to, act like I absolutely remember all of this stuff, even though I just have it tracked in an Excel spreadsheet instead. So it's way cool.
Definitely. And yeah, all of our, our minds, we work differently. And so, I think for some people, the tasks that used to pop up on the old virtual office worked for them. It just never worked for me. So this is I finally found a tool that worked for me, and it really helped me with inviting and tracking and all of those things. And it may not work for other people. Other people might like the, writing things down on paper and keeping track that way. So, but it's just something that I've found hugely helpful, which I will continue to thank Nicole Helmstettler for, in helping me, manage my business. So, yeah. All right. Well, on that note, I wanted to keep these super short and very easy to just kind of check in and see. So if we don't have any more questions, I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording.